how he successfully prosecuted the Donald. So stay tuned for him. We'll bring him in a couple of minutes. But first, Rick, the MAGA meltdown this week over Taylor Swift is glorious. It's asinine, but glorious.
Tara, there are days you wake up and you say, if I were trying to absolutely shitwreck the other team, if I had a spy in their conference room giving them terrible damn ideas, the pinnacle of Bad Idea Mountain, you get to the top of Bad Idea Mountain by passing the burning tire dump. Then you go through the radioactive waste swamp. Then you go up the side of trash heaps. And then you're on the top of the mountain where all the burning tires are and school buses are raging into them. That would be where this idea came from.
Yeah.
The pinnacle of culture war stupidity is to say, let's go ahead and declare culture war on Taylor Swift, the most popular entertainer
in the world.
In the world.
Like literally contributing to the GDP. Okay? Like Taylor Swift is huge. And these dumbasses in MAGA think they're going to take her on. Why? Because
she's a deep state secret sleeper agent. I mean, come on. We all know that.
She doesn't support Donald Trump and MAGA. So if you guys have not seen some of the freakouts this week coming from MAGA and the right wing, of course, we have it all packaged nicely for you. Here's a taste.
Maybe she just bought into all the lies about conservatives and Republicans, that they're racist and sexist and homophobic and xenophobic and transphobic and Islamophobic, that Republicans and conservatives want dirty air and water and a total ban on all abortion with no exceptions.
It is so scary. There was a recent poll. 1/5 of Taylor Swift fans said they would back whichever candidate that she endorsed.
18% of voters are more likely to back a Taylor Swift endorsed candidate.
A single post of hers led to 35,000 new registrants. That's arguably more power than the president.
Biden effectively has Taylor Swift as his VP.
Taylor Swift's cat is valued, one of them is valued at $97 million because of its Instagram impact.
Her cat?
Her cat.
Brain dead, low information voters. Of course, I'm talking about Swifties.
We don't have a Taylor Swift on our side, but you know who we have? We have Kid Rock, we have Ted Nugent, we have influencers, right? We have all these people, John Voight.
What world are we living in? Sure seems planned.
Nothing but a psyop.
The Pentagon psyop unit pitched NATO on turning Taylor Swift into an asset.
Taylor Swift, of course, also a psyop for the NFL wives out there.
Don't believe everything Taylor Swift says. We're all begging you.
But it would be the single dumbest thing a mega superstar could ever do.
Don't get involved. Don't get involved in politics. We don't want to see you there.
And let's say that I like Taylor's music about 25% less now, okay?
I mean...
You know, my favorite part, of course, was Pizza Jack Posobiec, one of the original promoters of the Pizzagate conspiracy theory and alt-right thought leader, to put it as mildly as I can.
That's an oxymoron.
Saying, we don't need Taylor Swift. We've got Kid Rock.
Right.
We've got Ted Nugent. We've got influencers. We've got John Voight.
I mean, John Voight's a great actor, but he's also cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and like 100 years old. So if that's who they're going to go with, my money is on Taylor Swift. But I think yes.
Easy bet. Easy bet.
And before we move on to the next subject matter, we have a special treat for you. So last week we decided to start doing dramatic readings of certain things. So this week in the Wilson Setmayer Players presents to you Inside the Trump War Room.
I'm Chris LaCivita, and I'm here. So I'm going to start the act by playing Chris LaCivita, Donald Trump's chief strategist. We're going to give you the names of the characters because we'll have to follow along. Give us a polling update.
Pollster. The attacks on women are...
Don Jr. Working. They're working, right?
Pollster. Combined with Dobbs have...
Jared Kushner. MBS has some ideas about dealing with women.
Pollster. They've led to a massive gender gap.
Ivanka. for daddy, right?
Pollster, no.
La Vida. Ideas, people.
Bannon, well, we could attack Taylor Swift.
Pollster, what?
Stone, let's call her a deep state plant.
Bannon, a Sharia Caliphate Marxist Antifa super soldier.
Jones, she's an octosexual clone from Epstein's lab.
La Vida. Octo what?
Jones, I've said too much.
Ivanka, isn't she popular?
Jared, silence, woman. Actually, silence, woman, or I'll call the Ministry of Virtue.
Bannon, Mr. President, this is my best idea since January 6th.
Trump, make it so. Scene.
You know, folks, improv is hard. Acting is hard. Our brilliant producer, Michelle Kinney, is probably rolling her eyes back in her head right now.
She's
over how
theater
terrible
trained.
my acting is. But I'm just a humble screenwriter.
Listen, the reason why we did that is because Rick at 6:30 this morning wrote that on his Twitter, and it was effing hilarious. And I said, this is perfect for our weekly dramatic reading. So we hope you all enjoyed. You could go on my Twitter and Rick's because I retweeted it if you want to read it again. It's actually quite funny. So yes, this is how ridiculous this whole thing is, because I don't think it's that far off, Rick. I really don't. I feel like
really
something
isn't.
like that actually happened, or these dumbasses actually thought that let's go after Taylor Swift was a good idea.
Stuart tweeted this morning, we've been in some war rooms before where really crazy dumb ideas happened, but this is the absolute pinnacle dumb idea. And you can see in the faces of all those Fox hosts, by the way, they get it.
Mm-hmm.
They get it, and they're in a absolute panic right now because on the one hand, all the new media types at Newsmax, OAN, online weirdos, all the Bannon-like types, they're saying, oh, Taylor Swift's a communist. She's a Marxist. She's a deep stater. She hates America. And even the people at Fox are like, oh, what are we going to do now? Because
Right.
they're caught in a real wedge.
Yes, and the thing about it is that they
I'm
were
here
seeing
for
the
it.
numbers. Me too. They're seeing the numbers. I mean, Taylor Swift tweeted once to go register to vote, and like 35,000 people registered to vote in 24 hours. She has
Right.
real political power, and they know it. And there was another poll that showed that 1 in 5 of her supporters would vote for whoever she supported. Whoever she said, yes, I support them. 20% of her fans are like, okay, we'll support them. So like they're freaking out because these are people who are in their voting demographic or their parents, and they don't want this. But I'm here for it.
Right.
Let them take on that behemoth. I'm team Taylor Swift. I think she's fantastic. She's kick-ass. She's talented. And I don't think she's going to back down one iota.
Well, my fiance Renee is a Swiftie, and as I like to say, a Swiftie at 50. And she posted pictures from the concert, and then she's like, you haven't been, you don't get it, because everyone there walks out of that room happy.
Yeah.
And everyone there is singing and having fun and loving each other and having a wonderful moment. And it really speaks to like how broken these people are, because it's not just her political opposition to Trump. It's the fact that she represents optimism and some joy in the world.
Yes.
And God, they hate that. They
And
hate
she's
it
a woman.
so
They
much.
can't stand the fact she's a billionaire, a legit billionaire that
yeah.
worked her way up from nothing and off of her talent and her smarts. She's a generational talent and became a billionaire. And they can't stand it because Donald Trump is a fraud and he's a half-assed billionaire. And, if that, there's always been questions and they can't stand it. So, which leads me to something else they can't stand, which is Nikki Haley. So she's still around. She's still in this thing.
Somehow.
She's raising money because every time stuff like this happens, they're going after
Right.
Taylor Swift and they see the numbers with women. Haley, people are like, I'm going to give her money. I don't care if she's not going to win or make it. I just want her to stay in the race and troll
Right.
Trump, which she's been doing, still staying, stopping short of going after him fully, but she's still trolling him about his age, about him being
100%.
senile. Keep it up. I say more
Keep
power to
rolling.
you. Keep it up. Well, something that's another good thing for her case, and then we're going to bring in Tristan. this poll that came out, I mean, not great for Biden, that showed a CNN poll today that showed that Nikki Haley beats Biden in the general election by 13 points. Now, that's registered voters, not likely voters. But if the Republicans were really about winning and putting the best candidate forward, because like elections are supposed to be about winning, she should win the nomination. They should kick Trump to the curb. But they're not about winning. They're in a cult. So
yeah,
good luck
they're not the difficulty you've got today. You got people like Marjorie Taylor Greene out there saying Nikki Haley's consultant should be put in jail.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how it works now?
Right. Yeah, that sounds like a democracy.
How the label thinks it works, but okay.
Yeah, right. That ain't a democracy, folks. I've got news for you. They keep telling us what they want to do. They're saying the quiet parts out loud. Well, speaking of that, there were a lot of things that had happened since last Thursday, including the fact that Donald Trump had to pay has been ordered to pay E. Jean Carroll $83.3 million. So who better to bring in than our guest tonight, who is someone who has successfully prosecuted Donald Trump and his BS organization and charity. Tristan Snell. He's a lawyer, legal commentator, and now author. While serving as the Assistant Attorney General of New York, he prosecuted successfully Trump University, the Trump Organization, and Trump himself. And his new book is out. It's called Taking Down Trump. Lays out the 12 rules for prosecuting Donald Trump by someone who successfully did it. And he is with us tonight. Tristan, it's great to have you on and finally see you in person. We've been Twitter buddies for years.
I know. Yeah. Thank you.
Good to see you again. I had Tristan on my podcast a couple days ago.
Yes.
So we're all caught up, but let's dig into the book because it really is worth a read on the ground rules that you've discovered for beating this guy.
Yes. Well, the thing about that, though, is that before we talk about the book, I just wanted to get his reaction to the E. Jean Carroll verdict first, and then we'll talk about the book because it's remarkable. Trump has never been ordered to pay, I don't think, this amount of money for anything ever. And I wanted to get your reaction to that trial and how Trump has reacted to it.
Hang on, I'm going to create a prop impromptu. You wanted
like
my
props.
reaction. I think it's there. That was my best confetti in like 10 seconds.
We got it though.
Listen, we did a dramatic reading. So
I know, I loved it. That was fantastic. So confetti, popcorn, whatever, balloons, I was definitely here for it. And yeah, that was amazing. It's about what I thought it was going to be. They actually came in probably a little bit higher than I was expecting. I thought it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 75.
Interesting.
I did think they were going to lower the boom on him with punitives. They did. I think that the stuff that Trump and Haba tried to pull at trial probably added 20 to 30 million of that by themselves right there. The judge tells you, please don't relitigate these issues that have already been decided. And what do? You get up on the stand and have him relitigated. He admonishes you, tells the jury to disregard. But the thing is that what was the jury really looking for there? They were looking for, A, is he still continuing to defame her to this day? And of course, they were seeing that. And B, is there anything resembling like, oh, it's a gray area. Maybe there's some contrition. Maybe there's something else. No. So they were just like, that's it, punitives. So so now he's going to have to deal with that whole issue as well, on top of everything else that has been going wrong for him legally. But so much winning.
Winning bigly.
Yeah. You recently told Vanity Fair that those who investigate Trump need to, quote, stick to the facts and avoid flashiness.
Yep.
You said you cannot let his counterattacks in any way, shape, or form divert you from the mission. That made me think of his lawyer, his lead lawyer in that case, Alina Habba, who is everything you said that they shouldn't be. I mean,
that's exactly right. That's a very good point. I hadn't really thought of it exactly like that before, but that's a very good point. She is exactly the antithesis of what you want to have as your lawyer in that situation. And the AG's office, like it's not like we're going to be running around thinking about too many people that did that matter. Maybe eventually we'll learn more about who they are, but we're not finding out about them right now. They're not becoming household names right now. And that's on purpose. When you work in that office, you're there to do the job. You're not there to get your name in the papers. That's not what you're there for. The fact that I've now been running around doing all this media stuff is because I was running around doing it after I left. You don't do that while you're there. It's not that kind of office. And your job there is to put your heads down, and deal with all the things that are not fun about law. It's honestly, it's about dust and paper cuts and carpal tunnel syndrome. Like that's what practicing law is. It's like there's all the unsexy stuff and just building a giant pile of evidence that just knocks everybody else over. That's what that office is about, and they're continuing to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Rick, I think we should show Verdict, and then we'll get into Tristan's book.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, let's do that.
So Lincoln Project updated their ad called Abuser to reflect the latest E. Jean Carroll case, and it's called Verdict, voiced by our own Michelle Kinney. Take a look.
Every woman knows the terror of sexual abuse and assault. Too many of us know the pain firsthand. Some attack us mentally. Some go beyond that. For too many, it's physical, even fatal. There's no excuse for sexual assault and abuse, unless
I don't even know who
you're Republican Donald Trump.
no idea who she is.
Supporting Donald Trump sends a message to every abuser, every rapist, and every man who's ever used his power to hurt a woman. Because if he can do it, why shouldn't they?
Oof. Wow. That's a good one.
One of many. we don't play around
pure
here.
Pure heat.
This is one of those things, though, that it's like we make a lot of hard ads, but I really believe at a fundamental level that this election will end up being decided by women who have watched Donald Trump and finally reached the point where they get it.
Yep.
Where they finally understand it. That's why you're seeing numbers for Biden right now opening up a 10, 12-point lead with women across the country, almost everywhere. It's not just Dobbs. It's this sort of thing. It's his cavalier attitude towards the fact that he sexually assaulted somebody, and he still continues to attack and defame her and send his people to harass her. I mean, it's just an astounding moment. And I think this was a hard ad. This was a really it wasn't one of those ones where we sort of laugh about we kicked the shit out of him. This was like
it was emotional.
Yeah.
Even it was hard, even for Michelle to do that, as
she
a
really
young woman, and she nailed it. Nailed it.
Yeah.
So
that gap is now, the Quinnipiac poll, the new one.
Yep.
What was it? 22-point lead among women.
Correct.
And that was up from 12 6 weeks ago. And then it's a 4.5 and a 5-point swing total toward Biden. But that's very much, you can see with the numbers there, it's driven by that wide gap with women.
Right.
So it was something that was getting talked about right when you guys were doing the War Room drama. I saw it because I was sitting in the green room at Morning Joe this morning, and as they were talking on the show, though, somebody basically just went straight for it, saying like, look, maybe we're starting to see some women wake up to the E. Jean Carroll case and how all of that has gone, and that might have actually had a palpable and immediate and very big impact in that polling. And I think that's a very interesting point.
Yep. Between that and the way he's attacking Nikki Haley.
That too.
The combination.
I think that's exactly right. The combo of that, and he never goes after people harder than he does when he feels like he's been betrayed or wronged by a woman.
Right.
That's what really drives him nuts.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And then they become dogs and
bird brains
for Trumpian.
Right.
That's
dogs and bird brains, and
I would never be with that ugly head.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But that was that's who are the people that he's gone after the very hardest? It was Hillary. It was Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah.
E. Jean Carroll. How much he goes after Letitia James.
Yes.
He's going to go after Fani Willis harder. Among the judges, the one he's had the most vitriol reserved for
Chutkan?
is Judge Chutkan.
Yeah, don't be a
So
black
it's a pattern.
woman.
Even
It's
worse.
not enough.
right?
Don't be a woman of color.
Then he really goes crazy. So
Oh, yeah.
it's going to be, that trial is going to be extremely interesting for how that happens if he pulls more of these antics and what he does. It's
for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I think you guys nailed it with that ad, and I really do believe. I think Rick, you're totally right. I think that his suburban woman problem is about to get a lot worse.
I think so too. I definitely think so.
Well, that actually leads me to a question I wanted to ask you about the cases, because in your book you go through different steps and things of what to do to successfully prosecute Trump. And since you brought up Judge Chutkan, I wanted to ask you, out of all the cases that Trump is facing right now, which one do you think is the strongest? And do you think we'll see a conviction this year? Which case?
Yeah, so I'm going to give a two-part answer to that question. There's what if you took the case in a vacuum, like you were in a law school class on how to be a trial lawyer, and which one would you pick if you wanted your best chance of winning versus what will happen in real life? If you had to pick it in a vacuum without worrying about who the judge was or anything like that,
Can I guess?
I would actually.
Can I guess?
I would. Yeah.
The documents case.
Yes, because
Yes.
it's such a. Oh my God, it's so good. It's so good. Like the facts fit that that law so well. The retention of defense documents, it's literally what he did. The law says you have to be asked to return them, and then you don't knowingly, and then you've committed this crime. And it's like, you couldn't ask for a better law for that set of facts. It's exactly spot on.
They have it on video. They have
And we think
documents.
Right. We
When
probably
I walked out the door of the Pentagon 30 years ago, at the last day of the older Bush administration, if I had taken all those top secret documents in my safe, shoved them in my briefcase, and took them home, I'd be in jail.
You'd see.
I would have gone to jail.
You would never have got you. We would never have seen you again. You'd be gone.
You would never have heard of
That's
me.
right.
I would be in jail.
Done. Yeah. So, So that's in a vacuum. In the real world, I'm going to go with the J6 DC case, which is also quite strong. Don't get me wrong. But I think that overall, it is definitely the clear winner because it's a very strong case. It was built to be lean and fast. It's only a few counts. It's only Trump as one defendant. We don't have the giant mess of like, how the hell do you fit all the defendants in a courtroom that you're going to have in Atlanta?
Sure.
It has a lot more weight than the New York case, although we shouldn't sleep on that one. And the DC case, look, the problem there is like, hello, DC Circuit, if you're listening, like, please, like, just finish. Just put the pen down, put the computer down, like you did it. You probably wrote 200 pages. It's going to live for posterity. I'm sure it's brilliant. Please stop editing the damn thing and release it. Like, SCOTUS has got to move faster. I still think
You're talking about the immunity decision we're waiting on.
Is slowing everything down, and
Yeah.
that's what's holding up the works right now. I still feel, though, that we're going to see that case happen this spring, and that it's going to result in one or more counts of conviction. I really do.
Okay.
So you think SCOTUS is going to reject that case? They're not going to, because of course Trump is going to appeal the circuit court's ruling, the appeals court's ruling, if it's against him, and then he'll appeal it to SCOTUS. They'll fast track it, and you think SCOTUS is they're not going to take it up?
I feel cautiously optimistic that the Supreme Court is not ready to effectively put itself out of business by turning the president into a full-blown king that then can do whatever he wants. And that would, it's like, hey, SCOTUS, you like this job that you've got where you get a lifetime appointment to tell us what to do and go on fancy luxury trips, apparently, and not report them. That job goes away if there's a king, because he's not going to let you just sit there and do whatever you want. Like, come on. Like, if you care at the very least about kind of the ego around your job and your branch of government being co-equal, or maybe in your head's superior to the other two, then maybe you're going to think to yourself, maybe we shouldn't give the president this power.
Yeah.
Just maybe not. And maybe that would actually help.
Maybe unlimited power just isn't the right move for this guy.
Yeah.
With this guy, maybe not. Maybe somebody else. But not this guy.
Maybe for anybody, right?
Right.
You know, it's like, you know, we're definitely in the territory of it's a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it.
Yes.
You know, Ben Franklin territory.
sure.
And it's like,
Yes.
and the Supreme Court's got a choice to make coming up, and I pray they're going to make the right one. I feel pretty good about it. I think we're going to see 7-2, 8-1, and it might even be a 9-0 per curiam one sentence opinion that simply
Wow.
affirms the DC Circuit. I actually think it could go there. Although I wouldn't bet money on Clarence Thomas, though.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I'm not
I
gonna
don't
bet
I
money
don't
on
think
Clarence.
so.
We could be headed for an 8-1 that does actually require Roberts to write an opinion, but like,
Oh
you know,
no.
oh no.
God forbid.
Yeah, but again, be fast about it, guys. Just come on. Like, I know you're
Right.
trying
It's
to
like,
make
it
history.
seems to me like this. The quicker they get off the mat here and just bite the bullet.
Just go.
It sucks.
Just get it.
Yes. Okay.
Well,
Just
fine.
get it
Do
done.
in
Get it
the
done.
venerable words of my late grandmother Gloria Setmayer, shit and get off the pot already.
There you go.
Yep. Yep.
So in your book, you talk a lot about the Trump University case because obviously that's the one that you successfully prosecuted.
Yeah.
For those who don't remember, give us the top line. What happened there, and what was the final result?
So this was basically a wealth creation seminar of the scammiest variety, where and this it ties so well in with a lot of, like, you know, ultra far right politics, where it's like, we're going to tell you the secrets the elites don't want you to know. You're going to get secret special access to help you get rich.
Just
You
like
just
Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Just like Donald Trump, and all you have to do is give us your credit card. Like, that's basic. It's basically the Alex Jones, like, you know, testosterone supplement thing, but as a school. Imagine
from
an entire
business
school of that,
And a lot more
then-
expensive.
and a lot more expensive. Instead of wasting $70 on a bunch of like sawdust pills or whatever the heck he's peddling, like,
Right.
you're paying $1,500 up to $35,000 to sit in a hotel ballroom and see some third-rate motivational speaker pretend to tell you about how to invest in real estate. And then they lie all through it. Donald Trump supposedly handpicked the investors. He never had anything to do with it. He supposedly created the curriculum and gave his secrets for how he invested in real estate. Completely untrue. You know, and supposedly these people were experts in real estate. Two of them had actually gone bankrupt trying to invest in real estate and failing right before Trump University hired them. Another one had come to Trump University from being a regional manager at Buffalo Wild Wing. So yes,
Only the best people. Only the
these
best
were
people.
the best real estate investors in America. These were the best real estate investors in America, and they're here to teach you Donald Trump's secrets for investing in real estate. But the thing is that they played on these folks that were Trump super fans.
Yep.
Like, it sounds like something that we might never fall for. But if you really think about somebody that you do if somebody that you do really like as an entertainer and they tried to do some program, you'd be favorably inclined
Of
to
course.
think that this was something really great. And to top it all off, you have to have a license to run a school, and you have to have a license to call yourself a university. And Trump University had none of those things. So it was multiple different frauds and illegalities. We investigated starting in 2011. We did a civil prosecution suit in 2013. We won a major appellate decision in 2016 that then cleared the way for us to go to trial. Trial was scheduled for spring of 2016. It got delayed because Trump was running for president, and the trial judge unfortunately went along with that. It was then scheduled for post-Thanksgiving, as was the parallel civil private class action that was done out in federal court in San Diego. Which, side note, that led to the that Mexican judge.
That's right.
Imbroglio.
Oh,
Trump.
yes.
I remember
Judge
that.
Curiel, but that was also about Trump University. And then that ended up resulting in November 2016, after the election, a global $25 million settlement with our case and the other case, and that resulted in the victims who put in claims getting over 90% of their money back.
Well,
And it was at the time the largest legal loss he had ever suffered, up until last week.
Yes.
when Eugene Carroll beat it.
Right.
Now, and that has to still go up on appeal, and it might come down a bit. But I think even if it's brought down a bit, it's not going to get brought down to 25. It's going to get brought down to like 60. So she took the record away from the AG's office, but the AG's office is coming to take it back.
Yes.
Because when we do get this Judge Engoron opinion coming up, which I think is now going to be Monday, my sources are telling me.
Oh.
Not this week. I know we've been waiting for it, and he said it would probably.
I'll take it Monday.
I'll take it Monday. I think they're going to take the weekend to keep polishing it. Is what I'm hearing, and I think that number is going to be 200 to 370 million, and so we're going to have a new record holder. And the current record isn't even going to last a week and a half.
All the wrong records Donald Trump
I know,
is getting those.
All of the winning. And so, that's going to be a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But I talk about the Carroll case and about the New York AG civil fraud case extensively in the book to analyze how they actually show some good examples of how the rules can be applied. Both of those cases really did a masterful job of following some of these rules. The AG's office, it's really like that office's playbook. It's just that I'm the one lucky enough to get to write the book on it. But that it's really that office, the team that we had there, we came up with all of this, even if we didn't give them numbers and a title at the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I'm trying to share all of this and kind of get it out there so that we've got a sense of hope that this can be done, even if it's hard, even if it's difficult, even if it takes a while, but it really truly can be done. And I think thankfully a number of the folks that are bringing these cases right now, both private cases as well as the prosecutions, are applying a bunch of these rules. And I think it's it gives me a lot of hope.
Rick, do you have a question?
No, I was just saying, look, I've always said to people, like, I don't ever have a feeling of like great confidence that we're going to have some sort of magical moment where Trump absolutely goes to jail. But the degree to which we've got processes where the rule of law is actually starting to bite,
finally,
and where he can't bullshit his way out of it, he can't lie or bluster or blow it up somehow. It really is a satisfying feeling, and I think the downside of that is it's going to basically eventually devolve into the MAGAs losing their minds to the point where what they're accustomed to isn't going to happen, and so they're going to freak out, and it's going to be extremely ugly. So
bad for the country, right? Bad for the country when they freak out. No, they're not. If they're freaking out like this over Taylor freaking Swift, for God's sakes, imagine what's going to happen when Trump starts to be held accountable by institutions that they no longer believe in and don't think are legitimate.
Yeah.
I worry about that. We worried about violence in the last election. And holy shit, it's way worse now.
Yep. But I think the other kicker here, though, is you talk about it. You raise a good point about it's that these folks don't view these institutions as legitimate courts, prosecutors' offices.
Mm-hmm.
I think part of the problem that we're facing, and a big reason why I wrote the book, maybe the biggest reason, is that even the people who want to see Trump be held accountable and brought to justice, even a big chunk of us don't believe in these institutions anymore. We feel deeply pessimistic and cynical about them.
I think
that's
right.
a problem. If you poll people on whether or not they think Trump will be held accountable, if you poll people on do you think Trump is guilty, it's around 54% right now, give or take, if you average it out. If you ask people, will Trump be convicted, the number drops all the way down to like 35%.
Yeah.
Only a third of us actually think he's going to be brought to justice. So there's a chunk of people in the middle who think that he should be held accountable, but think that it won't happen.
Right, because it hasn't happened for so many decades.
Because it hasn't happened for so long.
Decades.
And
He's
not
gotten away
just
with
Trump.
so much.
Also
right.
Bill Cosby, also Jeffrey Epstein. It's not just Trump.
Right.
It looks like if you have enough money and enough connections, you can rig the system and wiggle out from under anything, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
And we need to fight against that, and we need to realize how it can be done. Because the other piece of this is I wrote it as a citizen's guide in a way to say we do have a role in the system. Even with things like social media, which sometimes get written off, I believe that the social media outrage on some of these matters actually did help move the needle on things like J6 and on the New York hush money case. So there's a role for us to play too as private citizens.
Yep, I agree.
I have a question about the New York AG's office. As a fan of the show Billions, anytime I think of the New York AG, I think of Chuck Rhoades. How accurate is that character concerning the way that the New York AG's office is run? Is it all Hollywood, or do you watch Billions first of all?
I have a confession to make. It's been on my list for 5 years, 8 years.
You
I
gotta
still have
watch
never
it.
gotten to it. Yeah, I've got to admit. So I actually cannot answer
That's
that
all right.
question.
You got to watch it because
yeah.
I think as someone who worked in the AG's office, you'll appreciate a lot of what happens in that show. The last season is starting to get a little weird, but the first few seasons are fantastic. So I think you'll enjoy it. My recommendation.
I wish I could say I'd ever seen a show that really depicted how law really is.
Yeah.
And even in a comic absurd way. In other words, like, I believe that the best fictional depiction on TV or film of politics is probably Veep.
Veep. Yeah, I was going to say The West Wing, but you know what?
It's more like Veep.
It's Veep. Yeah, you're right.
It's more like Veep. Rick,
Veep
come
is
on.
so much closer.
It's so
right.
true.
So much closer.
There hasn't been a Veep for law yet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it.
Maybe that's next on your list of things to do.
Maybe. I
pitch it.
Like I don't have enough other
Good
things
day.
to do, but...
Pitch it. Well,
all right.
Tristan, I thank you for writing this.
Very much. Thanks for coming on.
I'm sure it was cathartic for you having to relive all of that, but there's a lot of great anecdotes in there about your experiences, and it's an easy read. So I hope folks go out and get your book, Taking Down Trump. It is out now, and keep up the great work, Tristan. I'll see you on the interwebs.
Thanks, sir.
See you guys.
It's so nice to be able to finally start to see people again, I have to say, because like 3.5 years we lost because of COVID and not interacting with people that, you get to know them. You feel like you're pals and you've never met them because we've all bonded over this nightmare of Trumpism and this valiant effort to be democracy defenders. So it's cool to finally start to see people again. Last night, I was at the Washington Press Club Gala in DC, and I got to hang out with my buddy Harry Dunn, who's running for Congress now in Maryland, by the way. So if you guys want to support Harry,
I'm going to be supporting 2 congressional candidates this year, Harry Dunn and Eugene Vindman.
Yes, he's running in the district next to mine.
And those 2 folks are American heroes for different reasons, but in the same exact causal element of the fight.
Correct.
Donald Trump's behavior led Eugene, his brother, of course, and Harry, of course, stood in the line of fire.
Yep, literally.
And these people are heroes to this country, and I'm going to be helping both of them out this year.
Yes,
personally.
and we hope you guys all do too. It's important because it's not easy to run for office these days. And what those guys went through, they really are true testaments to patriotism, the Vindmans and Harry Dunn in different ways, but yet still victimized or attempted to be victimized by Trumpism and his bullshit. So with that, we are going to continue fighting the good fight. Rick, who's on your podcast this week?
Oh, man. The list is long and distinguished. I will tell you because my calendar is up on this page.
Well, you want to hear more from Tristan, right? The Tristan.
I got Tristan coming up. I'm taping tomorrow Pete Wehner and Rena Shaw.
Oh, Rena's my good friend.
She's one of my favorites. Great. Then I'm doing Molly John Fast and I are doing our weekly once a week thing that we do on a podcast.
Nice.
And then I'm taping Harry Litman's podcast. So tomorrow is Podpalooza for me.
Well,
which is fine because I am solo this weekend because the fiance is going to Spain to see Real Madrid.
I heard, and that's pretty cool. I'm not into soccer. When we were in Barcelona over New Year's, we passed.
What do I know? What do I know from any sport ball?
I don't know anything about soccer. I'm a football fan. We're a cricket household. My husband's into the sport of cricket. He's got a cricket clothing line called London Royce Cricket. We like cricket. We like football. We like basketball. Not into soccer. My stepdad loves soccer. He grew up in Croatia and he's a big soccer guy. When we were in Barcelona, we passed by on the hop on, hop off bus, whatever the Barcelona team is. And I was like, does anybody want any gear? Do we want to stop here? I don't know. Nobody was a Barcelona fan. So I was like, okay, whatever. But listen, I hear it's an exciting sport. People love it. There's like clubs where people get together. I think actually Michelle's husband is a big soccer fan. He gets up on weekends and goes and watches soccer at like 6 a.m. or something. It's a whole thing. So good for Renee. I hope she has a great time in Spain. It's lovely there. Have some paella for me, Renee. On that note, we will see you guys next Thursday because we are on weekly again now for the rest of the year. So we will see you next Thursday. And we will leave you with Last Week in the Republican Party because there's, of course, no shortage of crazy. We'll see you next week.
Are we living in the end times?
Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was fingering the House Freedom Caucus.
I'm a little bit wet. Would you rather be smart or pretty? And I said, oh, easy. Pretty. I can fake being smart.
We do have a verdict. E. Jean Carroll did suffer more than nominal damages as a result of Mr. Trump.
The whole point of this enormous damages, unprecedented damages now, is to tell Donald Trump to shut up.
A lion, a giraffe, a whale, and a shark.
Does it give you any pause about him returning to office?
It doesn't.
A chair, a hat, a badge, a necklace.
Donald Trump was the best Republican president since Ronald Reagan.
How many politicians have come out on the stage and hugged the American flag? That really means something to me.
Not only do we support President Trump, we support his policies. And any Republican that isn't willing to adapt these policies, we are completely eradicating from the party.
I just love you. Here in our country, the border, Joe Biden criminally possibly could be.
You look at Joe Biden, he's going to go down as the most corrupt and most weak president in U.S. history.
We will restore on this planet peace through earth.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
I would be terrified if I got onto a plane and I saw a woman flying the plane.
Hillary Clinton facing brutal ridicule over a cringy social media post. Her comments about Barbie.
When I watched her in the fancy dress, that probably wasn't so fancy.
The top line here is that Mr. Woodward has already filed the appeal in this case. This is a case of first impressions that I have said from day one is destined for the Supreme Court.